but I am here, and I'm here with two really wonderful people that an hour from now you'll be glad you spent the time with. And today is discovery is the word of the day. We value your comments. We actually depend on your direction in order to be as relevant as we can, as helpful as we can, and demonstrate our desire to help others, help everyone. With that said, chat's open. Like I say, I want to first turn it over to, who will I turn it over to? To Beverly. I'll turn it over to Beverly, and she can introduce herself, give her first insights into discovery, what that word may mean. And then Natalie is gracing our show today. So happy for her to be here. She's just, you know,
Thank you.
really getting the hang of this thing and really creating a lot of value. And the three of us together, we have no idea what we're able to do. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Beverly. What's new, Beverly?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm really excited. I'm always excited to be here. This is my third week in a row, Donald. I cannot believe that. And Natalie, it's wonderful to meet you. And Natalie's a fellow Canadian. So, hey. And not only that, when I saw your profile, Natalie, I saw also that I went to Sheridan College. You would know nothing about this, Donald, but art and creativity is what I did in my other life back in the day. And it really got me to where I am today, which is being a therapist, helping others, because I was working through the art community with Indigenous people up north. And it's all about story and it's all about discovery. And I see everybody saying good morning, and I wish I could just say good morning, good morning, good morning. And yeah, discovery is a wonderful word because, as I'm sure Natalie will attest to, as kids we're always discovering, but we're shut down, and we're shut down in our creativity along the way. And it's like, oh, I can't draw because someone else draws better than I do, or I can't read as well as someone else. So we start not discovering, we start closing down, we start feeling we're not good enough. And so this word is absolutely awesome for me because they call me the reinvention expert. So I take out all the garbage and I just rebuild. And that's what I do with people and with myself too, because I'm constantly reinventing. And where discovery is for me, it's about story. And I think, as Gretchen yesterday was talking about stories, stories are our superpower. Stories bring us out when we're learning. It's all about, when you're thinking of history, when you're thinking, it's all story, it's fantasy. And if we could just think of that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and we're all in that story trying to get that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And discovery keeps us curious, keeps us moving forward. And we even have science. Science always, we know all this, but science will come in and say, yep, now it's fact. So it goes into educational psychology and psychology in the workplace, where it's the more curious you are, the more you will find. And in the workplace, it goes right back to that pot of gold at the end of your rainbow. So if you're looking for something in the workplace, ask, be curious. Not only story is your superpower, but curiosity is your superpower. And the more curious you are, the more questions you ask. Nothing is stupid. There's no stupid question. It's like you just didn't know, and so what? Ask, and you will receive. And the bottom line is you're going to get that pot of gold.
Well, that's great. Nice to start out with a wonderful, inspirational, aspirational uh, visualization, especially the pot of gold. And, discovery is a consistent, constant element of a dynamic life, right? You're always discovering something. It may be the price just went up on something. It could be something that was always there and you never saw it. So I think there's a wonderment to discovery. It's like opening the door you haven't been through before you see what's behind it, and I think that's what makes life and, you know, uh, opportunities so available if you'll just give yourself credit and discover who you are. And, I think discovery, if you can add it to passion, really starts to get exciting. And really, it's a matter of how high can your energy level be in a positive way based on what you're learning, who you're with, what you're growing. Natalie, I know we like to keep it down to a few seconds, but it's your turn to say what you think about discovery. You're already starting out with a wonderful smile, so I know the next words are going to be just great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Donald, for having me on the show for a fourth time. So I know how you feel, Beverly. It's just so exciting. I am discovering new things about myself and new things about technology. I'm discovering about more about the people who show up and engage, on this show and connecting with them. So I mean, yes, life is what it is, a discovery journey. I think an openness to being, uh, our openness to discover, brings even more wonderful things in the forefront. Sometimes you can drive by an area or even take a walk and you're like, oh, I've never seen that before. Look at this. And it's been there all along, but you're discovering it for the first time. Maybe it's because you had an intention to be more open to what's around you, and that's a wonderful intention to start your day with. Like, Rita always says, have an intention in the morning and ask yourself questions. What exciting thing is going to happen today? How am I going to be able to bring joy into a person's life? So discovering your power in helping others to discover themselves is also wonderful.
Well, that's
Discovered, Beverly and I, that we are George Brown College alumni. So, we went to the same school. It was a fun discovery. And what did you study at George Brown
I,
College?
I I wasn't an alumni. I just went over
Oh,
this for a summer course. I didn't do the whole
okay,
program.
okay. Yeah, but
And
yeah.
I was interested in pottery.
Oh,
And
nice.
I took an entire summer and got all
How
dirty
lovely.
and made the pots, and I actually lost my wedding ring in
Oh, no.
clay. And that became a whole story in itself.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's all about, learning and discovery, as you said. And you also said something wonderful, Natalie, and I want to just get off on that, which is you open your eyes to things. You're curious. And that's that pot of gold thing, you're curious about something. But I have another story. People would come into my office back in the day when I had an office. I closed everything down since COVID. They'd come into my office, and when you're stressed out, you don't notice a thing. You come right in, you do what you say, you're getting whatever you need, and then you leave. And I've had people come in and say, oh, did you just put up that picture? And it's like, no, it's been around for maybe 10 years. It's like, and the thing is, when we're feeling better about our lives, we're able to relax. We don't have to be so focused. We could start discovering and seeing new things in a different light. And that's when you're calm. That's when, you're talking about starting the day, meditating, getting into focus, And this should be for everything in the workplace, at home, in relationships. You know, relax, open up so that you can discover, listen, listen. It's all there. And
That's,
look and
you
see.
know, and I think, you know, like every word we come up with, there's context, there's delivery, and in discovery, there's timing, right? Like Natalie had said, if you're running through a park, you're not going to notice all the birds or the trees. You're just going to be running. And if you slow down, and to your point, Beverly, relax, you can take things in slowly. I mean, there's something to savoring a discovery and actually
Mhm.
slowing down the discovery so you can really appreciate and realize it, right? I mean, if you have a fine dinner that you've been waiting for, you know, you want to take some time to admire it. You want to take slower time to cut it, eat it, have some conversation, make it part of the meal, you know, not the reason you got together with somebody. You know, it's like, let's get together for lunch, but you're not getting together for lunch. You're getting together to do whatever you do together. But why not include the lunch? Why not include everything around you? I mean, if Natalie drew a picture and left a third of it off, right? Even though it would have been easy to fill in, what does it tell you? Awareness, how much in the now, in the moment you are. I mean, that's living is in the now because that's your living moment,
That's
right?
right.
Why not use every moment to overfill? You know, so many people overserve so many other people and underserve themselves when it comes to discovery. And then sometimes when they discover it, they don't even give themselves credit for it, right? I didn't know I could do this. Well, you really can't do it. You know, so whatever got you into not looking, if you start working on seeing, and the other thing, this is all about people. It's seeing the people in front of you, people that you already have. And then so many people are so distracted by strangers they may never meet, never get to know, and all of a sudden they've served nobody well. And I think that's the key is what's serving of discovery, how bold and daring to open up which doors and not only open them, but walk through them and come out better for them. And every discovery lends itself to a new question, which could then lend itself to a new discovery. So before we get too deep into discover, let's discover all these beautiful people here. And it just, that's why I feel so remiss when I don't get to everybody. I'm just trying to get to the top. So with that said, we've got Chenier here. Thank you for coming. Kelly's here. Kelly's just a wonderful contributor and anchor to the show. Thank you so much, Kelly. Renada is here. Good morning. So nice. Here's another Canadian fan here, Ashif. Canadians in the house to rock. I would actually reach out and get to know Ashif. He's got just a tremendous story of success. Dennis is here, start alphabetically and third strong. We all need and therapy to learn and earn better. You know, why not? We know better now and we're getting to know better. Now it's a matter of going to apply what we know and get the benefit from it. You know, it's all coordination and synchronization to a point. Dennis says, agree, pot of gold at end of rainbow before we get too old. Great match. Here's my adopted grandson. Here, Paul. Grateful to be here to support and learn from you all. Paul's just a wonderful supporter of so many shows. Agree if you don't ask to answer is know better to be in the know. You know, it's a discovery you don't have to remake once you make, right? You ask a question, you get an answer. Nicole's here with a bunch of hearts. Nicole came on the show the other day. Just wonderful person and a great speaker. Dean's here. Everybody knows Dean. Paul, Carrie Chasen's here. Kelly says, so grateful we all discovered our power, embrace expanding our minds and community. And we're just getting started. When you see what's going to happen in the next couple months, it's just going to blow you away in a wonderfully discoverable way. Sheaf said, fun fact, 8.7 million car license plates have a tag Ontario, yours to discover. Well, you know, and I grew up in Detroit, which is only a mile away from Windsor, you know, the Detroit River. And actually there's a part of Canada that lies south of the US. So, and that's where Windsor is, just barely. Hi, Kelly, it's Nicole. Let me see, Dennis comes back. Agree, listen more, talk less. That is why we have 2 ears and just 1 mouth. So true. Anyways, we've got a LinkedIn user just hit the button a million, billion, trillion, zillion times. So that's discovering big numbers for sure. So with that, Beverly, we're getting such a wonderful engagement and support from this audience. It's almost like they're wanting to discover more and do it, you know, and I think that's a factor. Do it with people you trust, you like, and enjoy being with. Isn't that more fun when you're walking through a cave and you're not alone and discovering what it is, or walking up a mountaintop? Beverly, what's your...
That's due to you, Dawn. You've created this caring community where everybody feels safe and everybody feels that they have a voice. And if you don't feel that you can have a voice and that you're not safe, people turn down. So they shut off. So this is what's good about this community. It's nurturing. And I think people feel it. Everybody's out there. I mean, it's fabulous. It's LinkedIn Live, but I mean, let's face it, I'm on a screen talking in Montreal. And I feel that all of us, everyone in the chat, it's like we're in one great big community, and that's due to you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. But, you know, I started by myself, and when I was by myself, it was 8 minutes. So it showed you how me by myself would last. And until people came on, and I think it really comes down to the know, like, and trust factor, right? When they see yourself, Beverly or Natalie or Kelly or any of these people, they project empathy, humility, you know? And if you now come down to a word, no one is different than anybody at the beginning of that word. So we're all, you know, got the lowest common denominator in order to be more inclusive, more embraceable, and really just, you're talking about 49 or 50 people sharing knowledge at the same time in the same group. That's never been possible before. You know, accessibility is something I discovered through here, because, you know, once you show who you are, once you say who you are, people know you for that. And you can't get that on a profile. You can't get that on a resume. What you have is a little bit of ink on a lot of paper that people don't give much consideration to. And I think if you want, just to Beverly's point, if you want something, ask for it. And the way to ask for it is first be seen, right? You can't ask an audience that isn't there, you know, to help you. But if you have 50 people and you need one thing, and I think that's where we're going to tie this together. We've got attitude and mindset down pat. Now it's skill set, and hey, who wants to go to work here? And I think that should be a question people ask is, what am I here for? What do I want to accomplish? It's real time, it's important time, and it could be valuable time. And once you can figure that out, then it's about coming together during the show, and then ultimately, specifically with aligned people, to say, let's have a working group. We've got too much opportunity here, and we're all trying to do it ourselves or with a friend or two. Why not just bring 10, 12 people around a table every week and say, here's what's your issue? You know, so everybody has a few minutes to say, here's what I'm working on. Anybody got some ideas? Or here's what I need. I need another person to maybe join in with this. So now it becomes leverage times everybody's desires and dreams, even in a more professional and business sense, and then taking it to B2B, because that's where you'll see the ability to monetize. So anyways, I'm just repeating everything that's been going through my mind for like 2 weeks straight. I can't stop. So with that, I want to turn it over to Natalie. This, it's so cool how it starts so soft and then gets so deep and rich by just keep turning this diamond around in different ways and seeing different facets and how it reflects. Natalie?
Yes. Well, I love what you were doing there because my husband does that with me all the time. It's like he's gonna, let's say he's working to solve a problem. He's inventing something right now. And for some reason, I learned visually. So he's telling me what he's doing, but I don't really understand. But I'm listening to him, and by him, like, telling him, oh, this is what I'm working on, and this is what's not working. And I wonder if this or that. And uh, that's how, when you tell someone out loud that right now you're reiterating what you're working on this wonderful course and project, and but by sharing that with us, it's helping you kind of like deepening and anchoring your dream and your project even more. And I just gotta say, it was so funny yesterday. So my husband has been working on making this mold. He's creating training um, uh, training things for medical training device, and he's doing this mold out of silicone, and then he's pouring silicone inside it to make to mold it. And then there's a spray, like there's a spray you're supposed to put on the silicone to so it doesn't stick. And so he ordered the silicone spray supposed to get the thing to come out, easily to slide out. But he ordered the wrong thing because he watched this guy. The product is named the wrong thing. So I just asked him, I was like trying to understand. So what's not working? I said, can you really use silicone on silicone? And he's like, yeah, well, yeah. And then he realized that he ordered the wrong spray. And anyway, all that to say that he figured out what was wrong because I asked a question and helped him discover the problem. So I don't know. I kind of diverge a little bit,
A little bit.
but sometimes you don't understand something, but you discovering, as that you can help someone, even though you're not the one that with the idea So
And
uh,
I could just speak to that because it goes right back to what you were saying in the beginning. When we are focused on what we have to do, we don't look on the outside. We're all in on what we're thinking we should be thinking. How do I fix this? And how do I fix that? And this is where discovery comes in. This is where someone else can come in with their input. And like you said, because you think creatively and you're not fine detail and you're not thinking of it as this project that he has to get done, you'll come in with another angle. And that's what's great about team and business. No matter what you're running, it could be a large company, it could be small, like me with a couple of people. That's it. Everybody. It's although I'm running it, I have my ideas. I'm open to other people. Everybody has their skill set. And we learn from everybody. We learn from children. Children are amazing and they're all open to discovery, and particularly kids today. Wow, don't even get me started. So discovery there, if we have the mindset and curiosity of that child with the knowledge of this older person that we are, is like, wow, we would really rock it out of the park. That's for sure. It'd be amazing.
I love that. That's so true.
Well, and I think one has to take discovery beyond the moment of discovery. Is how do you deal with discovery after you experience it, right? If you open up your bank account and you found another $1 million there, that discovery would take a while to fully appreciate. Or if you found minus $1 million there, that would be another opportunity to integrate discovery and not be discovery on its own. It's like I discovered this in addition to what I already knew about that. right? I discovered someone just went to the same school as me,
Yeah.
right? And that discovery is something you're aligned with. But then you say, how interesting. And now that person becomes more interesting because you're part of a family in a sense. It could be an alumni family. You know, if you're rooting for the same sports team, you're in that family, you know, and you dress up like the sports team sometimes. And, you know, it's like, how much of the discovery do you accept? Some people look at something, close it up, and never look at it again, right? And their discovery was there, but then it begs the question: what are you looking for? Because more likely, that's what you're going to discover. And if you keep discovering unpleasant things, it's only because you're focused on finding those things and then justifying those things. And then all of a sudden, your life is not fun for the discovery process, you know? And I think to Beverly, everything really comes down to positive reinforcement, right? Every time you do something, if it makes you feel better, you're going to try to discover how to do this. If you just took up tango, like Rita has done, right? And you discover in the beginning, you don't really know it, aren't very good at it, but your excitement and passion will allow for you to get better. So your fear factor goes away. And I think so many people don't allow themselves to be discovered for reasons that have nothing to do with what they have to share. It's really a matter of time, place, and people, right? Certain people you're far more open and vulnerable with. Other people you know better than to even start up. And so that's being more particular in your discoveries. I mean, a lot of times if you think of discoveries, it's somebody going through this ancient tomb, you know, it's all that drama and emotion that takes place. But, you know, how can you discover something that no one else really cares about that could be meaningful? Like I say, when I look at a blueberry or a raisin today, I had some cereal. You know, I just found it like, what an interesting object this thing is. You know, give it some credit beyond just something that's going to make me nutritious or whatever. And it allows your mind to get real simple about simple things. And it's an exercise. You know, to get better at anything, you need to practice. You need to challenge, you know, and that's another reason to take extra steps. Is because if you're in a group, people want more. They want to be more. They want to see more. If you're, it's like going up a down escalator most of the time. If you're not making progress, you're losing progress. But more importantly, everything you have, you know, hopefully what it is. Anything you change tomorrow, you can go back to yesterday the next day, right? So a discovery doesn't have to be a change. It just has to be a few more facts, a little bit more information. Beverly?
I just look at discovery as growth. Every time we discover something, we learn. And if we're curious, to keep on moving. And I go back to the pot of gold. What are you looking for? If you're looking for something, get curious about it. And I'm thrilled and actually honored, Don. Like the first time I was here, I had people reach out to me. And I always offer people like 15 minutes, you know, consultation, talk, and help, which is what I do. And for somebody to reach out the first time, that's hard, you know, and what they were, I'm sure, or everybody, I'm putting myself where someone else should be, is you're curious. And it's like, what could you do for me? And, you know, I have this and I have that. What you said is so true, Don. Nobody, a lot of people don't want to step out and they're afraid of that as a confrontation. But for somebody to reach out, I think all of us should. If you're looking for an answer, the pot of gold, reach out and ask. And you never know. If you don't ask, if you're not curious, you're never going to discover it. So, you know, I'm honored that these people felt comfortable enough from your show to be able to do that. And this is what you're doing. And this is what the people here feel. And I encourage everybody this week, right after the show, go out there. If you have a question to ask of a boss or someone else or a family member in a relationship, instead of thinking it in your head, be curious and ask, discover what's really going on, and not sit back and think maybe I know, because maybe you don't unless you ask. Be curious.
Well, and you don't know what you're dealing with until you expose it, right?
Yes.
So to know where to dig, you have to believe there's some gold there to begin with. And I think a lot of people should just be happy doing little things well over time. You know, they say a definition of a big shot is a little shot to keep shooting, right? And, you know, and it's the same thing here. Little steps give you some time, give you some patience, give you a chance to probe. Is this a positive place? Is this a good person? Is this, but more importantly, you want to be the chooser, not waiting to be chosen. And that's the key. You want to be the one making things happen, not the ones waiting for something to happen. And you got to know, hey, just like anything else, what are you into? Talk to the person next to you. Hey, I found something I'm interested in. Let's have a call. And if they say no, you've discovered more than you think there. Because at that point, it's not going to be a time suck. And it's not going to be an investment that you get surprised that you could have known up front. Natalie?
Yeah, I love that. And I want to come back to openness to discover. Nicole is saying, I find that wanting to help others succeed encourages collaboration, and then you both will benefit in discovering.
I think
Roger, a book for healing through poetry and art. And when we started this project, Allison and I, I mean, we were all, I had an idea of what I wanted the book to look like. It was going to be a poem, artwork, and then kind of a journaling page of some sort. But as we discovered one another, and she's neurodiverse, and the way she speaks and addresses people like through her posts on LinkedIn, and really listening to Allison, I've learned so much from her uh, as a neurodiverse person, and as a result, the book is transforming. And it's becoming something else.
I think I got a little cut off there.
And it's so much more than I thought it was going to be. Allison is learning from me. I'm learning from her, and people who are gonna take the journey on in healing through art and poetry are gonna discover about themselves, and so on and so forth. So being open to collaborating with others, and also open to listening to their view is really key. It's so key, because it makes you produce something that like bigger than yourself, and that's what we want.
Well, that's beautiful in the sense that it lends itself to team partner discovery, right? How many times, if you're under a car, which isn't probably often, you say, can you shine the light over there so I can see what I'm missing, right? And it takes that person with the flashlight to allow both of you to discover what the issue. What about team discovery? And if you've gone through your life like most people and been self-sufficient, not want to be dependent on others, and look at how much you've achieved, and naturally you've gotten benefit from others along the way. But what if you had a team with you that was committed to the same things for themselves as for you, and everybody brought a piece of the puzzle? Because the way to get real successful is to spend all your time, or as much as you can, on your core competency, what you do best, what you like doing most, and not get caught up in what someone else can do so much better, and you can fill in the gap for everything else. So it's almost like making a necklace out of 5 different gems that 5 people brought together to form that necklace. And just like you say with the art project and the poem project, just like this show, having bookends benefits everybody, because there's contrast, there's complement, there's colors, there's shapes. and that's what makes it exciting, because it is palatable if you get it rolling. And here's the thing: once you lock in what I would consider the faculty, you're assured, at least from me and the people on the screen, that we're going to be as kind, as thoughtful, as generous as possible, because that's how people love to see people, right? It's always going to be what's in it for them. And if there's enough in it for them, there's going to be something back to you over time. But the difference is, this is going from transactional, typically one-on-one relationships and transactions, to groups where you can get a little bit from a lot, and everybody can get a lot for a little by coming together, right? If you're one-on-one and whatever rate you have, if you were 20-1, everybody could get it for 5% of the cost, and you'd get so much more opportunity to help so many people, and in return, create longer term relationships. Discovery is you building that step ladder to success and doing it with other people, and everybody gets there faster, better. Another thing, why not have fun along the way? It shouldn't be the discovery is the only benefit. It's the fun. It's like, hey, let's go. People say, hey, let's go downtown, or let's go somewhere. And you don't know what you're going to do there, just like the show. But if you've got enough creative, imaginative people, you know it's going to happen, because that's what those people do, is they create things, like Natalie with art, some people with acting, some people with just being a great plumber. There's beauty to everything. So with that said, Dennis, let's talk about people. Reinforce with positive, not negative thoughts. Agree, well said and heard. What works for you works for people just like you, right? So what you enjoy, they probably enjoy. And if you only have so many words, you only have so much time, why minimize it by bringing controversy into it? All the stuff that isn't really in the now, isn't really about discovery. And really, it should be, we're only going to discover really fun, great things together. I remember when my first grandchild was born, and I said to myself, what am I going to be with this person? And I said to Anne, I said, fun. For the rest of their life with me, every moment will be coated in fun, because that's all the time and all the interest I have, and it's simple. Omar's here. Thank you, Omar. Omar's doing some really interesting, discoverable things. Get together whether or not comfortable, like the weather does change. Well, with that said, Beverly, we're 2/3 into the show. I think we got everybody comfortable, chilling with each other. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think we all can discover. And it could be a creative discovery, it could be an invention, but we discover things every single day. And it's just learning, it's just talking to people, it's just opening up. That's our superpower, our creativity. Every time we ask a question, we're curious. And if we just keep on doing and asking, we just keep on discovering. And to be open to that, to find out, and to dig deeper. And I just encourage everybody to just continue to do that. You know, a friend of mine who keeps on coming up with these simple little platitudes, but they're so good. It just says, everybody can do anything. Well, you know what? You can say, huh? Everybody can do anything as long as you try. As long as you don't have to be a prima ballerina or do dance like Rita, you can just dance in your room when no one's looking. You're discovering feeling, you're discovering that you feel good. And every little thing is a discovery, but allow yourself to do it. Don't be inhibited. And that's I think something we're all told not to do. Act this way, be this way. You're supposed to dress this way. It's like Where are you in this picture? And so, yes, you do have to conform. Let's face it, we live in a society. However, you shouldn't shut the real you down. You have to be yourself. You have to be comfortable. And that's sometimes discovering yourself and not following what you were told to discover. That's huge too.
That, yeah, I have to say something about that. When I do my painting workshops, let's say I have a room of 30 people in front of me. The first thing I want to tell them is whatever people told you or what you think that you're not able to do about, with creativity or painting, leave it at the door. Just and embrace this new, see it as an adventure, and witnessing people discovering that they can actually mix the color. Oh, look at this. I put a little bit of blue, a little bit of red, and if I add a little bit of white, it's this brighter color, and pink. And so witnessing people discovering new things is just, it's just amazing. And um it just gives you this motivation to continue and to bring even more ideas. And like for me it's painting, but like your teacher, the person who showed you how to do pottery, it's like you have this block of at least you need instructions, of course, and you need to see what other people are doing to to be able to do what they do, and then discover that if you mimic that, you don't have to have a special talent. You can actually produce something and discover something new about yourself, and that's what makes life exciting.
Well, I think you're so spot on there, because this discover also has to do with rediscover, right? Something you saw before and didn't think was very valuable or interesting, and later in life or something, or a story comes to be that gives it some more context. And the other part of discovery is it lends itself to recovery, right? Because that's something you've been waiting for. And I think, to Beverly's point and to Natalie's point, you need to self-discover. You need to, they say the game is between you and yourself. How many times do you take time to really appreciate yourself, to give yourself your own pat on the back, to look yourself in the mirror and feel so proud to be you, and not depend on somebody else to tell you that. And when you leave there with a head of steam. You leave there with, hey, how much better can I do today? If you're on a winning streak, right, you just want to keep winning. You would just want to ride it out. And, life is, to me, like surfing. You want to catch a wave and then lean into it. There's certain points of your life where you just feel invincible. You just feel like the world is your oyster, and everything works in your behalf. And that's an attitude. Success is always an attitude. There's a saying, I've been broke, but I've never been broken. And some things are a circumstance or a time, a place and time. But, there's two stories that lead to triumph. One is, I've never had anything, and this is my chance to make it happen. The other one is, I had everything, lost it, but I'm going to get it all back again because I know how. Right? Either one is a comeback story. And you want to discover yourself as being resilient, being timeless, saying that as I pick on challenges, I also create more strengths to go with it. The saying, don't ask for a lighter load, ask for broader shoulders. And if you can get other people's shoulders that are right with you. Dr. Constance is here. She is so prodigious and generous with all of the things she does and who she works with. And, these are unbelievable people that are showing up for each other, with each other. It's such an open invitation to say, just like Beverly said, I'd love to have 20 minutes to get to know you a little better or get to meet you. And if the spirit of the show continues beyond the show, more doors will open to you, because if you take on the disposition of respect, you know, part of this new program, which I'm not going to go too much into detail, and I even put a money back guarantee on it, is the only thing that's non-refundable is your desire to improve and your interest in helping other good people be better with you. And that's what this show has come down to. Is it has nothing to do with accreditation or experience. A really good person who is happy to be seen as that person, to people who need people like that because they want to be like that. And a lot of people, I think, to Natalie's point and to Beverly, they've judged themselves based on how people have judged them. And depending on who and when and how that happened, it may not be relevant or reliable information. And when you can say, I took this act and it bombed, but you take the same act to a wonderful, welcoming audience and it really crushes it, now you're a comedian again. Now you're a singer again. So Beverly?
Oh, there's so much to say here. Okay. I don't know where to start. Discovery. You were talking, Natalie, about bringing people out of themselves through art. And that's really wonderful. Sometimes we have to discover the opposite too. And what I'm thinking is, but it doesn't have to be negative. I'm going to put that in too. I'm thinking of, because when I'm thinking of art, I go right back to art school. And I remember this was a program in university, and they were only taking 35 people. And here we came, I was one of them. And here we came, we were chosen for this course, right? Like, we're all big deals, we're all artists, we're all creatives, right? Well, the very first lesson, and I remember to this day, was when we were doing a life drawing class. And the teacher stood up and he said, I just want to let you know that everybody that's here at this moment was told that they were terrific by somebody that knew nothing about art. And I just said to myself, I laughed, because in my heart, I didn't laugh out loud, but I said to myself, you know what? You're right. And the reason I said that is I always wanted to discover more. And I was only as good as my last drawing. That's how I felt personally. I did not feel that I was terrific, but everyone around says, hey, you are great. And what I want everyone also to know is it doesn't matter what people tell you. You have to feel within yourself the confidence and to discover and continue to discover and believe that you can. And it's all about personal growth. And it doesn't matter what people tell you. Yes, you can respect and you can believe, and there's certain mentors to absolutely follow. But when we all came literally from junior college into university, as we were a whole bunch of smart ass kids, it's like nobody really knew what you were talking about. Now let's get down to basis. Now let's learn. And I think that that's an awesome way. Not to tell, you can't tell that to a child who feels insecure. But if you're feeling you're really over the top, you can learn from everybody. And I think, we have to have a give and take, and there's a balance to it all. And not just continue to grow, learn. We discover on all levels. Sometimes that we're not as great as we think we are. That's not so bad.
So true, Natalie. It looks like Constance says thank you for your doodling support.
Yes. Well, I'm just going to comment on that because, again, going back to learning in school, in graphic design, there's a lot of tracing. So you take your reference and there's all kinds of different things that you can draw in graphic design. And one of the assignment was tools, power tools. I had to make this like drill look good and represent. I never really paid attention to what a drill looks like. So you take a picture, you have a light table, and then you trace as much details as you can. Then it's your creativity to add like the shadow, the colors, and all that. But always remember that the teacher said there is an art to tracing. And that brought me to when I talk about doodling. There's an art to doing your doodles on your whenever you're talking, whenever, like, even being absent minded, you'll doodle something, and there's art to that. There's creativity to that, because it's your hand on a piece of paper doing something that comes from you. So uh you know when you go to music exhibit and you see these beautiful artwork, and you're like, oh, I could never do that. And like these artists are like out of this world, like it's such talent, and you place yourself so remotely, like you just like take yourself out of the equation of being an artist. But creating art is so much more. I always want to say it's so much more than a pretty painting. There's depth, and it comes from inside of you. And in my book, I always say I do coloring books, and if you look at my coloring books, there's an outline, right? But I encourage people to color outside the lines, and that's discovery. When you go outside the lines, if you look at a kid's drawing, it's like all over the place, and they just like they have this joy of covering the page and going all over the place. And trying to stay within the line is confining yourself, confining your imagination and where it can take you. So I encourage people to color outside the lines, and I have videos on it how I do it. But it's so liberating, and by doing that, it's a journey. You don't know where, if you continue to put yellow, onto the face instead of stopping at the dress and doing like the skin tone color for the face. Like just continue on and embrace your creativity, and where coloring outside the line, and where it can take you and what it's going to look like. Just because it's your piece of paper. It's just go all out. Just don't just stay within the lines, and that's in life.
Well, I think that lends itself to constant reevaluation, continuous reinvention. And I've just been a person, when someone says something, a lot of times I got to just check it out for myself. Is like, yeah, but, I think I want to see it. Now, you may not have the chance to change it, but you also are exercising your discovery muscle, because there's so many people, who will go like on a roller coaster ride and discover the fear involved with it, and some things don't align with what I used to like in the past. And now I discover things that I never liked that now I like. I mean, if you'll take a kid with food, right? You go somewhere and all they want to do is eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, no matter if you're in a wonderful restaurant or have exotic food. But later on, they'll try a little spicy stuff, and maybe they'll add a little green vegetable. And they're discovering how to manifest their fullness. But you start with a blank slate, and that's the beauty of it. And you can start with a blank slate any day. It's like you got tired of playing these cards. Let's throw them in deck, shuffle them up, and deal ourselves. Or even better yet, choose the hand we want to play, not just receive the hand we're playing. And you can start paying more attention to where you have more interest. And eventually you'll start to discover things. And I think what challenge people have is when they're discovering, they go too wide when they should be going deeper or higher with where they're at, right? and it's that shiny object syndrome that makes everything worth discovering as soon as you see it. But what can you sustain? What can you duplicate? What can you scale in your life? And at the end of the day, you got to give yourself a score as what is my discovery quotient? Am I really a meek, mild discoverer? Or am I willing to go to the North Pole tomorrow if the opportunity arises? Because playing is so much more than waiting. Playing at anything is better than watching if that's what you're interested in. So it's really what's your role. And then sometimes you can discover through other people. Somebody will say, hey, you want to go with us? No, but when you come back, tell me how it worked out. Right? And now there's collateral discovery taking place, or you're going to be the lead here. You're going to be the scout. You're going to come back and tell us what it is. And then maybe we'll take a look at it. But give yourself opportunities. Don't take them away from yourself is the whole thing with discovery. And you know what? People love to hear your discoveries. I just went to the store. Well, what happened? Well, you wouldn't believe this. I was going for some applesauce. The whole shelf went down. Made such a mess. Whatever it was. And I discovered how real clumsy I could actually be if I allow myself to be. But have fun with it. It's like, wow, instead of frustration, substitute it with fascination, right? I just discovered this. I can't believe how this could happen, and become whimsical, because it's not how many times you fall, it's how fast you get up and how fast you start moving again, right? Because the beauty of discovery is there's another one around the corner that may make the first one worthwhile that you didn't know. This was here to cause me to pivot, to cause me to look that way, to meet this person I would have never met, and it's that serendipity that is so important in life that says, oh, wow, I just found this. I just learned this. Beverly, it's almost time to close up. End of hour almost. So love to hear your final thoughts on discovery from where you started and what this.
I'm just picking right here. I think it was Ashef. I think I'll end with that. He says the best journey taken is the journey within, which is self-discovery. And that self-discovery is everything we are talking about, whether we're going on the journey of life or whether we're just doodling and playing with our pencil on a paper. What you're doing is you're always discovering. And in art therapy, which isn't art or structured art, what you're doing is you're expressing your feelings. That's all, with color. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And that is really what that journey is. We can all play, we can all be curious. We should not stop that. We should continuously discover. Curiosity, it's all about discovery. And I just end there. Be curious.
And you ended so well, Beverly. In addition to everything that we brought out today, shared with each other today, and the trio was able to harmonize today, because obviously all three of us could have carried this subject by ourselves, if we wanted to or had to. But the mutual discovery allows you all these different clues from someone else before you got on to say, I don't know what I was thinking about, but since Beverly said this, hey, that's an interesting point I want to follow. Or since somebody in the audience, and what that shows is respectful discovery, that you're not pushing somebody out of the way to get to something. You're not being, nefarious in sneaking around trying to discover something. So it's really discovering in the bold light of day with everybody around you, because you want to share, right? A discovery that isn't shared is a very small discovery. When someone just says, I just found a new species of fish that no one knew was here, right? That's a worldwide thing. Or someone finds a new planet, and what it does say is there's no end. It's only how far can you see forward to know what's there. And, I've talked to a lot of people and some people who had really challenging situations and probably knew they weren't going to get through them very well. And I would ask, so what keeps you going? What motivates you? And their response was the curiosity of what's going to happen tomorrow in the world or around me. You know, it's like I'm too involved here, no matter my circumstance, to not want to see and do. And I think that's where people really have to come down to uh, being humble is understanding you have everything you ever needed to be anything you ever wanted to be. You know, there's a saying, nothing's ever been invented. It's just been discovered because it's always been there. Is discover things in yourself. And one last thing I'll say and turn it over to Natalie to finish up with her comments is you need somebody else sometimes to tell you your hat's on crooked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need somebody to say, hey, you're kind of getting off course there. And that will put you back on course. Or, hey, I discovered, along with what you're discovering, a new discovery. So let's start moving there. You know, you got to turn your microscope into a telescope, you know? And I think at that point, things will really start to expand for you. Natalie?
So sometimes, you know, you're so comfortable in doing something. Like for me, I paint women. I love acrylics. So I naturally will get out my paints, my acrylic paints, and paint women, paint a woman. Um, so recently, I wanted to discover more, like a new medium, and always said, watercolors. It's not for me. Painting flowers. No, I don't want to do that. But I decided to discover. I bought a pad for specifically for watercolors, and really got the right tools to set myself up for success with it. And I'm just going to share it. See, this is like a painting of tulips. I've never done that before. I've never painted tulips before. And then I discovered that I really, really loved it. I really enjoyed it. So, it could be something that it's in your own field. There's always new things to discover, even if you're an expert in something. Just take a new exit, try something new in that field. And that can be really amazing, or something entirely new.
Well, you know, and I think to that point, you know, keeping things new, discovering new things keeps you fresh.
Mm.
And being fresh is a good place to wake up to every day.
Yes.
Is you know, I remember during COVID, I started watching cooking shows. And for a week, I made nothing but cabbage dishes, you know, until I got tired of eating cabbage. But it was just fun to now take, like you said, tulips, but take cabbage. And I'm not a really good cook or anything, but it was something to do, something different, something easy, and then something you can actually enjoy. So discovering something you can actually use, something that can actually benefit you versus some historical fact or something. So, you know, these conversations are just so wonderful because they are heart to heart and they are heartfelt, but more importantly, heart directed, you know, where your discovery is if you can keep opening your heart, opening yourself to the opportunities, to the people that deserve your time and attention, and then want to give you more to discover about them. You know, that's the beauty of some relationships is if they're wonderful people, every page is a new chapter almost. And you say, well, I didn't know you did that too. And, you know, I wasn't aware of that. And I, you know, and back and forth. And pretty soon you're ratcheting up together because it's like, hey, I was waiting for someone to finish this with me or start this with me. And if we do things on, like we're doing day by day, people in a specific time, where there's definitely something measurable, palatable, and valuable. And if it's just in spirit and in attitude, how big is that? How many days would have everybody done better if they started with the best attitude they've ever had every day? You know, why not start with a tailwind instead of a headwind? So with that, we're over time, but, you know, never have enough to say because there's always tomorrow, hopefully. So with that, I want to thank everybody, especially Beverly and Natalie. They are evolving and really contributing in ways that none of us could have done without this wonderful audience showing up every day. So with that, go forward, have a lovely day, come back in 23 hours and we'll